Oh boy. So I'm not gonna lie, despite only being off YouTube for around a month, I kinda did secretly hope that I'd be back to an audience with a higher average score of intelligent quotient. And for those who aren't sure what that is, don't worry, the irony isn't lost on me. Anyways, so it seems that when it comes to the Messi and Ronaldo debate, there really isn't a bad time to locate stupidity. For example, the other day, I saw this.
You think Messi's not the GOAT because he hasn't played on a Wednesday night in Stoke. Here's the thing. No, Messi's not played against Stoke. What he has been doing, though, is tearing apart the very teams that are the best in the league that Stoke were playing in. He was tearing apart the very teams that were beating Stoke.
Right, so this is what I'm going to do. Instead of specifically rebutting to the little audio transcript you heard there, I'm going to explain what the cold rainy night in Stoke meme actually means. Because Jesus Christ, you kids take it way too literally. And in order to explain that meme, we'll need to head back to the summer of 2021. The precise point where La Pulga packed his possessions and proceeded to perform the predictably pivotal, presumably pricey and personally painful move to the pretty perky and predominantly prosperous place called Paris, prominent for its passion, pageantry, promiscuity and popular and promising but periodically petty, pompous and perniciously problematic poultry promoting players, prompting these sort of reactions from his ever so knowledgeable fan base. Now, as we know, things didn't exactly pan out this way. In fact, it was quite the opposite, as Leo heavily struggled to adapt during his first season in France, with his stats as well as overall effectiveness in games dropping in the 21-22 season. Now, this obviously had a lot of people curious. How can one of the all-time greats, who's just put up one of the all-time great tournament performances in Copa America, was the reigning Ballon d'Or holder, and just a mere few months away from winning another one, struggles so severely in a league that's always fighting to be even in the top 5 in Europe? Not to mention that he didn't exactly move to a mid-table team in that league. He walked into a side that had won the title in 7 out of the last 9 seasons, had one of their players capture the golden boot of the league also in 7 out of the last 9 seasons, and even finished as the top scoring team in the league in 8 out of the last 9 seasons. So you'd think it should have been relatively easy for him to not just win matches but also rack up quite a high number of goals and assists. Yet he fell flat, and when asked regarding this situation, his old pal from Barca, Luis Suarez, claimed that Leo had been struggling to adjust to the cold weather. Poor guy. Now, exactly how accurate TV Tim's claims are is anyone's guess, but that's not what we want to worry about here. Instead, look at it this way. Imagine Messi, much like he did in 2021, made a move to a new club, but not as an established all-time great Ballon d'Or holder, but as a developing scrawny 18-year-old boy. Not to a team of world beaters in the Farmers League, but as an unknown raw talent to the best league in the world at its peak competitive strength, and not as a frontman with zero defensive responsibilities, but as a wide midfielder who is kicked every day in training when he does not track back and defend. Ask yourself honestly, if Messi had began there, at that age, in that climate, in a league that tough, in that culture, you really think he'd have the goal contribution ratio he has now?
Come on now.
Now, the long-term subscribers of this channel may have caught on by now that I pretty much word for word recited a section of one of my very first videos. But you see, while that was to explain why Messi has such a better goals and assist ratio than Ronaldo, all these arguments can also be used to explain this meme. Cause this is what a lot of you fail to understand. When it comes to Messi, quote unquote, not being able to do it on a rainy night in Stoke, the implication behind it isn't actually doubting whether he can really do it on a rainy night in Stoke. Instead, it's if Messi was in the Premier League for an extended period of time at an age where he was less seasoned, like, I don't know, let's say for 6 years from 18 to 24, given how much more competitive, intense, fast-paced, and, well, honest English football is, and especially was back in the mid-2000s, how well would he have fared over that extended period of time? Would he really have been able to dominate? Well, my friends, whether you like it or not, the answer to that, I'm afraid, is yes, of course he would have. He's one of the greatest players of all time, and for me there's no question that with time and practice he'd have become one of the Premier League's all-time greats too. However, would he have been able to boast the numbers he does right now, i.e. 50 plus goals in 6 different seasons across his career? Sweet mother of Marmaduke, no. And as far as the Messi versus Ronaldo debate specifically concerns, would Messi have done as well as Ronaldo did in 7.5 seasons in total in England? No chance in hell. Because for me, Ronaldo possesses more innate attributes like physicality and athleticism that makes him more adaptable to different environments. That, combined with the man's unrivaled mentality to overcome anything and everything in his way, in my opinion, makes him more suited to conquer any, if not every challenge a change in culture or climate may bring to a footballer. While in the case of Messi, as I said, if he'd been in the Premier League for a long time, he'd have eventually gotten used to it and would certainly have risen to the top, but I just don't think he'd have done as well as Ronaldo. Now this brings me to the section of the video where I present to you the stupidest arguments people usually put forth to try and counter everything I just said. They show Messi's statistics against Premier League teams across his career. You fucking helmet. That proves nothing. Except one thing, it proves that Messi is good enough to dominate the best English sides on his day. But didn't we already know that? Again, he's a bona fide all-time great. But would he have been able to put up performances such as the ones against City in 2015 and Chelsea in 2018, week in, week out, while playing in England? Again, no chance in hell. Now of course, there isn't any absolute way to find this out. I just use the evidence that's available out there, and said evidence out there brings me to this conclusion. Is the Messi hasn't done it in the Premier League argument pointless and irrelevant? Well, if you're using it against him being an all-time great, yes, it is pointless and irrelevant, because he'd have dominated even if he was here. He's too good not to. But if you're using it against him in the Messi versus Ronaldo debate, it's actually pretty legitimate, because there is a very plausible argument that had Messi taken a similar route to CR7, not only would he have not done anywhere near as well as he ended up doing at Barcelona, but he'd also not have fared as well as his Portuguese adversary did end up doing across Europe's top 3. And that is that. Agree or disagree beats indifference. Once again, don't forget to like, comment and share. And of course, subscribe. Till next time, you keep rolling.